Hello, today we will be talking about the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 1 Zords and where they came from, where they're kept, and why they're always coming up out of the ground when they're summoned. So, every Ranger in the season, as typical, I guess, as traditional, has a Zord of their own. Let's just go over each individual Ranger Zord.
First off, Jason the Red Ranger had the power of the Tyrannosaurus Rex. That was a cool Zord.
Yeah.
The Yellow Ranger Trini had the Saber-Tooth Tiger. The Black Ranger Zack had the Mastodon. Kimberly, the Pink Ranger, had the Pterodactyl. Billy, the Blue Ranger, had the Triceratops. Tommy, the Green Ranger, had the Dragon Zord.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Carrier Zord that was sentient on its own, or just, wildly piloted. There's some rumors that it was remotely piloted from Zordon. Who knows? It was just there. Titanus, the Carrier Zord, the Brachiozord, or actually it was a Titanosaur, but it was the long neck dinosaur. But yeah, all given to them from Zordon himself and Alpha 5.
And they built these.
Yes, they were. That was an ongoing thing that I believe they were built by them. They didn't buy. They didn't build the coins,
Mm-hmm.
but buy the coins. They didn't build the coins, but they used the coins to create the powers and channel it through the Morphin grid, and because of that, they needed weapons and suits and Zords, all the essentials for being a ranger. So,
the coins were used to not only summon the Zords, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
And then they would use the coin when they got into Zord.
Yeah, there was a very cool episode where they took the coins and they went like this, and the coins formed a crystal, and they jammed the crystal in like a rudimentary key, and it was a joystick crystal like key thing, and that was how they controlled the Zords. Also, what was I just gonna say about that? Multiple times the Zords got broke or like not blown up all the way, but they got damaged, and chiefly Alpha 5 and Billy and Trini and all the Rangers combined and had to rebuild the Zords and fix them up and do maintenance. That all took place in the Zord Bay, just like this.
Mm-hmm. Billy was always working on different Zords in the Zord Bay and fixing them up when they broke.
They broke often. I mean, fighting giant monsters takes a wear and tear on you. I hope they're under warranty.
Yeah.
So,
and of course, the theme, as you already know from our discussion, it's dinosaur theme. So. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty good theme for Zords.
Who doesn't love dinosaurs?
Yeah. Dinosaurs are cool. Dinosaurs are usually always cool. So Zords, operating giant... I mean, if you're going to create giant fighting robots to fight these giant oversized monsters...
Colossal assault vehicles, as they've also been described.
Yeah.
That's the coolest term.
Dinosaurs are the perfect shape to put your giant robot in to fight giant monsters. I mean, it just makes sense to me. I do like the theme of them being dinosaurs.
Yeah, the dinosaurs were really cool. I mean, if someone gave me a giant robotic Tyrannosaurus Rex, I don't think I'd ever come out of it. I just ride it around everywhere. So yeah, I mean, very cool. Shifting gears. You want to talk about Alpha 5 a little bit? Do you want to add your 2 cents? We've peppered him in a little bit. Let's explain him a little bit.
Alpha 5, as far as I remember, was built by Zordon.
No, actually, they get into that in later seasons. He was befriended by Zordon. Okay. They're old friends, but we'll touch on this in a later season. But I can spill the beans here. Alpha 5 was built by King Lexion of Edenoi.
Oh, okay.
And, a neighboring planet in the galaxy. But anyways, Alpha 5 joined Zordon in his quest to protect the universe and protect the Morphin grid, and it's his trusty advisor. He Zordon being trapped in a time warp, being pretty much a disembodied head floating in a capsule. Alpha 5 was his arms and his hands, and it did everything for him. So, I mean, what better than a robot himself? But a robot with a real heart. Alpha 5 loved the Rangers. His classic, ay, scream, we all hated it, but we all loved it.
I mean, there's one thing I was going to bring up with the Zords that kind of go hand in hand with where they're at least in the Power Ranger universe. I mean, you have a piece of machinery, Alpha 5, who's a robot, but he also has a personality and seems to be very, very sentient, controls himself. And the Zords in this, I remember when the Zords they'd be the Rangers, that is, would be very emotional. Whenever the Zords would be hurt, and it kind of had a personality, and it makes you wonder, how sentient were their Zords? Like, how aware were those Zords? Because when they were damaged, I mean, the Power Rangers surely acted like a friend was being attacked.
Yeah, like I said, Titanus. Who was piloting him? Was he just going? Was he just doing his thing? I think sometimes the Dragon Zord being controlled by Tommy's flute, was that like a remote control? Or was it kind of like the Pied Piper? Mm-hmm. Was it just a wild dragon that he was able to call and, give commands like a dog whistle, Yeah. It leads to a lot of speculation with that. The Rangers definitely felt and seemed like they felt like the Zords were an extension of themselves, not just crying because, we lost our Zords right at the moment, the world's going to be destroyed. It was, we lost our friend, So...
I do want to speculate on a few things. The Dragon Zord, of course, is always seen coming out of the ocean, which is always awesome. I really like that.
Very cool.
Love that scene. I know it's always the same bit of footage, typically.
Not equal, but equal. I always loved seeing the T-Rex come up out of the volcano, out of the crack in the ground, all the hot magma T-Rex coming up out of it.
Yeah, so in this series, the Zords are kept, it seems that they're in an underground. They're just rising up out of the ground. So it's like the Zords in this, they're being kept underground, so it makes you speculate on the Zord Bay. The Zord Bay in this is located underground, perhaps? I don't know.
Is it located underground? Are there multiple Zord Bays? Because we can get into different speculation on that. You see the pterodactyl flying out of a volcano, the mastodon coming out of an iceberg. Are they kept, I don't think there's any icebergs in Angel Grove. So, where are they coming from? The Triceratops coming out of the desert. Are there multiple Zord Bays, in areas? Are they coming out of a cave? Mm-hmm. Things like that. Well, who knows?
Real quick before we go here, you want to talk about the Megazord?
Yeah, absolutely.
What they all combine into?
The 5 core Zords would combine to the Megazord, the mighty Megazord. It was originally just the Megazord. I've heard it called the mighty Megazord. In later years, I've seen toy listings call it the Dino Megazord. I personally like to call it the Dino Megazord. They are the Dino Zords. I don't think just having it be the Megazord being it was number one, it's the best, it's the original. Like I said,
came equipped with a big sword.
Yeah, came equipped with the big sword, Mastodon shield. Mm-hmm. It had a tank mode that was awesome. 3 of the Zords, the Mastodon, the Triceratops, Saber-Tooth Tiger, could merge with the Dragon Zord. That was one of my favorite combinations. It utilized the Dragon Zord's awesome drill tail as a staff. The 6 Ranger Zords could all combine also. I wasn't very keen on this feature. I thought it was cool that they could do it, but it was just, the Dragon Zord just became shoulder pads basically. And then all 7 Zords could combine they could jump into Titanus' back and ride into battle, blowing cannons everywhere and destroying everything in their path. Literally gotta be everything in their path. Every car on Main Street, buildings, monsters, small children, everything.
Who cares about collateral damage?
Yeah.
That municipality, that city has the best insurance.
We got a city to save, so get out of our way, basically.
I agree with that.
So, which we pepper that in because in later seasons, we see some ways that they try to avoid that. So we'll get to that when we get to that. But that's pretty much all we have to say today. So that was what we had to think about the Mighty Morphin Season 1 Zords. We'll see you next time.